All right. I think we're here. Maybe. Let me set this up a bit better. All right. So sorry for the delay. For some reason my camera was just not connecting to the computer. I'd set everything up and like double checked everything, and then when I went to actually do it, it just wasn't working. So sorry about the delay. I did get my cup of tea in the end. It's probably off camera. Yeah, there it is. Very good. So if you're wanting to follow along, maybe get yourself a cup of tea as well. I'll get this stuff out the way. We don't really need keyboard and mouse for this. So, I mean, first things first, we hit 20,000 subscribers, which is absolutely bonkers to me. Like that 20,000 is a lot of people. And so I can't say thank you enough. It's insane to me that many people watch my stuff. I do need the mouse. Keep an eye on chat and stuff. Okay. Um Rightio. So yeah, what we're going to be doing in this stream is I've got myself. Yeah, we'll get into all of this in a little bit because this is part of it all. But we're going to be making a little notebook. So in the past, actually, I should get some examples. Yeah, so in the past, I've made a whole bunch of little pocket notebooks. You've seen a video of me making this one. This was the first video I ever made on the channel, so this one's very special to me. Yeah, so as you can see, I've got a bit of an obsession with making these little pocket journals. And so we're going to make another one, another commemorative one. So I've chosen some red cardboard for the outside, for the cover, because we're going YouTuber style. This is like a YouTube themed notebook, I think. So I got red and white because those are the YouTube colors, and I got some white thread as well to make the binding. Obviously, you can get a lot more creative with the color choices. Like this one here, I made out of a cereal box. It's cornflake box, as you can see. Here, let me get. Well, there's a bit of a crease in there. I don't know if this cardboard will really hold up to much use and abuse. I haven't used this one yet. But yeah, I thought it was fun. Nice, colorful color. This one is actually the inside out of a cereal box as well, just to make a nice little brown one. Anyway, as you can see, you can get as creative as you like with them. So we're going to be making another one today, and I've just got some regular printer paper to go along with this one, because you can use, I think this one in particular, this one has some like nice drawing paper in it. So it's quite nice, but I'm just going to use regular printer paper, because I'm running out of the nice stuff, and the white and the red are the colors of YouTube. So I've gone with that because all the nice paper I've got is kind of like an off-white. I'm not sure it'll work as well. And then that brings me on to the special feature that we're going to be adding specifically for this one, which is where all this mess comes in. So what I've discovered, oh, I didn't discover this actually. I saw this somewhere. Someone else has discovered this for me, and I'm just stealing it. But basically, what you can do is you can emboss. Yeah, I'll see if I can get. Yeah, you can emboss cardboard to have little designs on it. So it's quite subtle, but I kind of focus. Yeah, I kind of like it. These were just some test pieces I did. So originally, how I've embossed these is out of cardboard, and this is again just some cereal box cardboard. I've cut out a shape out of it. So here you can see I've just cut out a YouTube play button, and I originally just had one side of sticky tape down to keep the little triangle in the right spot. But I had the sticky side up. So when I when I went to peel this off, obviously it got stuck to the sticky tape and peeled the cardboard off. Focus. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, so it peeled the cardboard off, So obviously that's not what we want because we don't want to peel the front of our notebook. So what I ended up doing is actually doing a second layer of sticky tape so that the sticky side was stuck onto another sticky side, and that just meant that I could actually get some proper embossing. And the way that you emboss it is that you just put your cardboard over the top of the bit with the cutout, and then I've actually found that crochet hooks, focus, yeah, that crochet hooks are really good for this, because what you need to do then is just push, especially around the edges of the design, you're basically just pushing the paper or the cardboard into those crevices and just pushing the paper out to make it embossed. And it works pretty well. It works pretty well. This was just something that I freehanded, and so it's not very good. But what I did do, and I prepared for this last night, is that I printed out a design and then cut it out of some cardboard. And this was actually really tricky to do. And as you can see, it's mirror image because we're putting the front down on here and pushing it in. So then when we flip it around, we get the mirror of whatever's here. So we mirror it first so that we get the right reflection when we open it back up. It was originally going to say 20k subs, but when I was cutting out like the 2 and the 0, the curved lines are really hard for me to cut because I was just using my X-Acto knife. I think if you had like a, what are they called? Like the Cricut, is that what they're called? Something like that. Cry-cut, something like that. It's like basically an X-Acto knife on a laser cutter, or actually if you had a laser cutter that would work really well as well, because then you can just cut out whatever pattern you want in the cardboard and you can make it as intricate as you want. But letters, especially letters this small, were really hard for me to cut out with just the X-Acto knife. So I ended up getting rid of the subs bit, not doing that, and just doing this 20k thing with the YouTube play button. And so the plan is we're going to emboss this on the front of the book is the plan. And as you can see here, like, so the tape kind of worked okay with this, but I figured what would be even better is just to put this on an actual backing. So I've just glued it to another bit of, you guessed it, cereal cardboard. And I actually used, so like for the middle of the O or the 0, and for the triangle here, I just used the bit that I cut out as a little spacer to make sure I glued everything down all right, and then just pulled that out before the glue dried. And that let me get everything in the right position. So we've got our little template and we've got our cardboard. So I think we should just jump into making a notebook. Now, the question is going to be, do I emboss the cardboard first and then try and make the cover of it and try and make the embossing line up well with the book? Or do I make the book first and then emboss it at the end? But then the risk is that if I screw up the embossing, then I've already made the whole book and the whole book is ruined. So I think I've just answered my own question. I'm just going to line up the 20k there because that's fun. I'm going to, I think, emboss first and then make the book. Although maybe I should I'm going to cut out the pages first and then I'll do the embossing just so that I can get the sizing of the cover correct. Okay. And right, so the way that I have, I got the microphone in the way, sorry. The way that I've been making all these books is, I mean, it's actually incredibly straightforward, especially once you get into the flow of it. I made like 4 books at once. I think 4 of these ones over here all at once, and it took probably no longer than making a single book because you sort of just get in the flow. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut these sheets of paper. I've just got 4 sheets of paper. I'm going to cut them into quarters, which means I'll end up with 16 bits of paper, which when they're folded in half will give me 32 sheets. And then each one of those you can write front and back. So you end up with 64 bits of paper that you can write on in one of these little notebooks, which is quite a good size, I think. So yeah, we'll cut these into quarters, and I'm just going to try I've found what I was thinking when I was making the last ones is that I could be kind of rough because I sand the edges smooth at the end, but obviously the neater you are at the start, the less sanding you have to do. So it does pay to be a bit precise if you can. Having said that, you can fix up mistakes later, like I say, by sanding, but you do have to be kind of it takes more sanding the less accurate you are at this stage. So got a not very nice number of centimeters. Is it a nice number of inches? No. Oh, maybe. But I don't work in inches. I don't know how to. I don't know how to read this. What is that? 11 and yeah, half. No, I don't know what. We're sticking with centimeters. You know what? I'm actually just going to fold the first one, and then we'll use that first one to cut the rest of them. Much easier to reference off the actual material than to use measurements, I think. Try and make that nice and precise. And I may as well fold this into quarters while we're here, just to make it even easier. So again, trying to be relatively precise so that I don't have to do as much work later cleaning it all up. There we go. So we've got the paper folded into quarters, so we can use that as a guide to cut out our bits of paper. So let's do that. Try and line these up again because we want to be as precise as possible at this stage. I'm just going to line the ruler up, and in fact what you can do is if you fold up along that fold, you can jam your ruler right into the fold, and that way it lines up quite nicely, and then we're just going to cut it. Make sure we go through all of the layers. I'm just doing them all at once just to save a bit of time. You can do them individually, but obviously that takes longer. It probably ends up being more precise, but that's all right. So cut them in half, and honestly, that looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see. I think there's like a tiny discrepancy, but that's all right. So now we're just going to cut them in half the other way as well. Try and line them all up again as best we can. And then again, use that fold trick to get the ruler right on the fold line. Jam it in there. And then let's go. We'll cut them all in half. So I think when I made the original video of doing this, I was doing each page individually. And that leads to probably more variation in the different pages, and also it just takes way, way longer. So as you can see, that took like bugger all time, and we've already got all of our pages sorted. We will have to fold these all in half to make them fit. And actually, you can see, if I go this side, there is like, oh, well, can you see that? I don't know. The lighting in here is not great, sorry. They're not perfect, but they're close enough, I think. So that's good. So now we can figure out roughly what size our cover needs to be, because it'll be half of one of these. So I'm just going to fold one in half. In fact, I may as well just fold them all in half. Oh, I've just realized. Oh my God. How do I make it? Oh my God. Oh, dearie, dearie me. uh, I'm so bad at all this stuff. So I've just, after 15 minutes of streaming, I think it's been 15 minutes. Yeah. After 15 minutes of streaming, I've just realized that I had the stream on private. Because I was thinking, I would have expected maybe like one person to have shown up by now. I was on. Oh my god! All right, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'm doing, and if you need any more clear proof, like I don't think you can get clearer proof than that. Accidentally had it on private this whole time. Welcome to whoever is now able to show up. I guess I kind of got to redo the whole spiel. All right, so welcome everyone. I've completely screwed up. I've been streaming for the last 15 minutes to no one. Um because I don't know how to use a computer apparently, or at least I don't know how to use YouTube. So I'm gonna I I went through this whole spiel. Hey everyone, so we got Nathan, Altered Raccoon, and Bry. Welcome everyone. Hello. Um so if you're just tuning in, which you will be, I've I was streaming for 15 minutes on private without realizing it, and I was thinking, gee, I was hoping like one person might have showed up. Turns out I just had it on private this whole time. So I'll talk about everything. I've already done some of the bookmaking is the problem. I guess you can watch it later. You can go back and rewatch what I was doing to myself. But to go over it quickly, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a book, a little notebook, as you can see. If you've seen like my last video making the bookcase, or my first ever video, which was making this little notebook here, you'll know that I quite enjoy making these little notebooks. So I thought we would make another one. And we're going to make it in this nice snazzy red, because that's like the YouTube colors. And this is to celebrate 20,000 subscribers, which is a mind-boggling number. Like, I cannot believe that 20,000 people watch what I do. That's kind of crazy to think about. In fact, I think it's probably best if I don't think about it too much. But all I can say is thank you so much for subscribing and being here on this journey. So what we're going to be doing is making a book, and we're going to make it a little special today by embossing the cover. Now, I did some little tests earlier with this little crappy hand-drawn cutout that I did of a YouTube play button, and as you can see, hopefully, there's a good one. It's an all right one if I can get it to focus. You can, yeah, emboss. Actually, I think that one's not very good. You can emboss, which I don't know if I got a good one. This doesn't bode well for the project, but you can emboss the cardboard to give a kind of subtle, cool little design in it. Let me just check, make sure the chat is going all right. Yep. So yeah, we're going to emboss the cover with a cool little commemorative thing, and so I've prepared this here, which is 20k subscribers for YouTube. I was going to have subs down here, but cutting out the 2 and the 0 with an X-Acto knife turned out to be very, very difficult, so I just decided that the subs bit wasn't worth it. Oh, you're trying to fix 1920s box camera. That sounds really cool. You're in the Discord, aren't you? Yeah, I recognize your name. Can you post that in the Discord so I can see it after the stream? That sounds amazing. Yeah, so we're gonna try and emboss this on the cover. As you can see, I've done a few tests. The original test I did, I like sticky taped down the little inside bit to keep it in the right position while I was embossing it. And what that meant was that when I pulled the cardboard off again, it ripped because it was stuck to the sticky tape. So I ended up doing 2 layers of sticky tape, like one from each side, so that the sticky side was always contained, and that worked better. But for this one, I decided to just glue it all down to another bit of cardboard, and I used the inside bits. Sorry, to get the inside bits in the right position, I used the bits that I'd cut out as like a little template. Hey, Zill's here. Good to see you, mate. How are you? All right, so, yes, before I realized that I was streaming to no one on private mode, I had already cut out my bits of paper, which was incredibly quick, because the way that I did it in the original video when I was making this one was like sheet by sheet, very slow. So what I ended up doing is I just folded a piece of paper into quarters and laid it on top of all my other bits of paper and just cut along the fold lines. I mean, you can go back in the VOD. Is that what they call it? I think that's what they call it. Video on demand, I guess. Anyway, yeah, you can go back and watch me cut the pieces of paper out if you would like. It's not that interesting, so we're probably in a good spot now. So, got all the bits of paper. This was originally 4 A4 sheets of just regular printer paper, and now I've got, I guess, 16 smaller bits. And I've folded one in half so that we can figure out roughly the size of the cover, so that, God, I've got things everywhere, so that I can emboss the logo onto the front. And I'm going to do the embossing first because I'm worried that if I do it after I've made the whole book and I screw it up, then the whole book's ruined. Whereas if I do it now, I can try and get a good embossing first, and then we can make the book from there. So, right, let's figure this out. So this cardboard has like, I'm not sure if this is going to pick up on camera, but there's like, oh, especially if it doesn't focus. So this side has like a nice texture to it, and the other side is much more flat. I really don't know. Oh, you can sort of see maybe if I'm on a hectic angle. Yeah, so this has got like a nice texture to it. So we're going to use the textured side on the outside. So put that down, I guess. And we got to figure out, I'm going to make it slightly oversized so that I've got room to maneuver later on. So I guess that would make the corner like here-ish. And we'll go here and here. And so we should have a few attempts at this in case the first one doesn't work. I think I've got a few more sheets of the red as well. So hopefully it'll all work well. And actually for this, instead of the X-Acto knife, I'm just going to use some scissors. So we'll cut this out and then we'll try and give it an emboss. And we'll see how we go. Oh yeah, by the way, while we're doing this, if you've got any questions for me, feel free to fire them away. Originally I was just going to do like a straight Q&A, but I don't know if that would be interesting enough. So I've decided I'm going to make a little book as well, and I think this will be a fun little thing to remember this all by as well. Right, so hit the tripod. Everything I'm really not good at all this streaming stuff. This morning I was trying to start at like 10 o'clock, but then for some reason I set everything all up, like checked that the camera was all good, and that was at like, I don't know, 9:30 or something. And then I went away and made myself a cup of tea, which actually I do need to finish. It's probably getting cold. Yeah, so I made myself a cup of tea, and then I came back, and then just the camera was not connecting to the computer at all. So I was panicking for like, I don't know, like 20 minutes trying to get it all to connect again. So then I started late, and then I didn't even realize that I was on private mode. Launches, loops, and lap bars. That is a big name. All right. Do you have a favorite one of your projects so far? I think my favorite project is usually the one that I've done most recently, because I don't know, I've probably spent the most amount of time with it and it's like fresh in the mind. But if I had to be like actually choose a single project and not like a gimmick answer like that, I've done it again. Keep hitting the camera. It might. Oh, well, yeah. If I say the bookshelf, then that's like a gimmicky answer because that's the most recent one. I do really like the little notebooks, but I don't know if that's because there's different aspects of the creation process, because there's like the project itself, and then there's the video and how the video turns out, which is a different thing. You know what? I think my favorite project is maybe the lampshade. Maybe because I don't know, that the lamp that I built the lampshade for was my grandmother's, and that's kind of cool. I honestly like them all. I don't know if that's too much of a gimmick answer. You can let me know if that's an appropriate answer or not. All right, sorry, I'm having to like chug this tea because it's right at that point where it's like when it gets too cold, it gets really gross, and so I don't want to leave it for too long. All right, so let's give embossing a go. I probably went a little early on folding this in half because if I need to like make sure that this lines up, like make sure that the embossing is square to the fold line. I probably should have embossed it first and then folded it after. But we're too late for that. We're just gonna crack on. The way that this works, by the way, I think I described this in the bit where I was not like when I was on private mode, not public mode. Sorry, just catching up. Lampshade was super cool. Yeah, I did really enjoy that one. It's a fun project and like not something that I've seen many people do. Make a paper lampshade. It's probably a respected craft that I'm just not aware of, but I really enjoyed that one. Zill, you should start beef with other creators to get bigger. Check that out if you want. Maybe I should start beef with him because he's a bit of a loser. He hasn't uploaded in so long. Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, the way that this embossing works. Yeah, I can do another example piece for you. Is you get a piece of cardboard and you stick it over the other bits of cardboard that you've cut out that are your pattern. And in fact, I think I probably want it this way because it's got to be mirrored. And then what I found is that crochet hooks work really well for this. So I've got two different sizes because the small one's really good for getting into the little nooks and crannies. So on this here, like getting into these little areas, obviously you need a little thing. But basically the idea is you're just poking the cardboard down, especially around the edges of the template. So let's see. We'll just do another test just to make sure I've got it all down pat. But basically, the most important thing is making sure that this bit of cardboard doesn't move relative to the template. And you would think that it would sort of just like lock in, but I found that it's really easy for it to move around. So I might even actually, I'm just going to get some masking tape. So I've got some masking tape and I might use that to try and make sure that things don't move on me so that I can really get into all the bits and bobs of the template and make sure that it works. Because I've done a few of these where it moved. I think there was one really bad one. This one. So yeah, you can see it moved and the little triangle is like way higher up in the thing than it should be. So we definitely don't want that. But yeah, the basic idea is you just put the cardboard over the top, try to make it not move, and then you just go along the edges of your template. Oh, like this. You probably can't see anything. Basically just pushing the cardboard down into the edges. And I'll try and find that bit in the middle. Where is that? There. And from the back, it doesn't look too good. Just trying to really get in there. Yeah, from the back, it doesn't look too good because it has like all the marks of where you've missed and stuff. Here, gee, the focusing is... There we go. So yeah, there's like some marks where I went off, but on this side, it should look pretty clean. I did screw that bit up. So that's the lesson. But yeah, it looks pretty clean. So we're going to try and do this on the red on that template and see how we go. This could end in disaster where we'll see. All right. Get rid of that. So yeah, it's going to be very hard to line this all up. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and square up one side of the template so that hopefully I can use it as a bit of a reference. How am I going to do that? Good question. I don't quite know the answer. Where would be square? I need a square, but I don't. Maybe something like that. Does that look right? Maybe. All right. We'll see. Have you always been a tinkerer, or is this a new development? No, I have always been a tinkerer. I think, honestly, that's probably the exact phrase that my parents would have used to describe me. We had like a little workshopy thing, not a workshop. We called it the tool room at my parents' house, and it was basically just like a workbench with a vise on it. And then, honestly, that the hand drill that you've seen in my videos, I've been using that since I was probably like 10 or something. Um, and it like I was never really making projecty projects. I was just sort of, well, tinkering. um, making little carvings and stuff and pretending that I was an inventor. I think like if when I was a kid, if you asked me what I wanted to be as when I grew up, it was either a Mythbuster or a Lego designer. Um, and so unfortunately, neither of those things have happened, but it was always something to do with like building things and that. Uh, but yeah, I think I've just always been a tinkerer. Zill, been thinking about buying some of those Ohuhu? How do you say that? Ohuhu paint markers that apparently just let you draw on anything. I haven't seen them. I'll have to check them out. They sound fun. All right. So what we've got now is a hopefully relatively square edge on this side relative to the design, so that I can hopefully try and line it up with the edge here to make sure that the pattern is in line with the fold in my book. But what I need to do now is, how far is that from the edge? Like 4 mil. And this is like, is that like 8 mil? Okay, so then that means that we should be able to figure out where we need to position this to line everything up. When Zill was a kid, he would always tell everyone I wanted to become a professor in inventions, and then other kids would call me the professor. That is a vibe. That is a huge vibe. I like that a lot. The professor. That's a great name. And professor of inventions, what a job. That would be awesome. All right. So what is the overall width of this? Depends where you measure. Good. That makes things easy. All right. 6.2. Actually, no, we just need to look at the gap, I think. So it needs to be roughly 4 mil more on this edge than this edge to make sure that things are centered. I'm assuming there's going to be a bit of slop in this because that's just the way things work when I'm making things. So we probably want it about a centimeter out. Would do the trick, I think. Yeah. So then we just got to try and make sure it's lined up. And then I will do just the merest hint of masking tape so that hopefully it can come off nice and easily and not ruin the front of the notebook, because that would be very sad indeed. All right, so about a centimeter, top and bottom. Oh, where do we want it? Be like there-ish. All right, and that'll give me more surface to tape to. Why don't I use the grid on my map? That would be smart, wouldn't it? That's too smart. Okay, about like that. Maybe like that. Okay. Wish me luck. Going for the tape. Hopefully that comes up all right and doesn't ruin the book. We'll see how we go. This is all a bit experimental, so hopefully it all works out all right. Get this side taped. There's like only the tiniest little bit of tape on this side. It's not bad. Hopefully that means it'll come up easier. And hopefully all this means that it won't move around while I'm embossing it. So I guess we just got to go for it now. The problem is, especially now that it's taped down, I don't know exactly where the design is in all of this. So I'm going to have to try and like feel it out, which is potentially problematic, but we'll just go for it. So I can kind of feel, yeah, okay, so the play button's here. I'm just going to go for it. We'll see what happens. So I should be able to find the edge fairly easily, I think. Yeah, so there's the corner. Oh yeah, cool. We're on here, I think. The issue will be trying to find the text, I think. That's good. All right. So just pushing it down. Hopefully this turns out nicely. Oh, look at that. I don't know how well it's coming up on camera, but it is embossing pretty well, I think. Let me just really get into the edges. Oh yeah, this is good. All right. So yeah, I've only ever I saw this technique. I can't remember where I saw it. I saw it ages ago, and I've only just really tried it. But I think it could really open up a whole world of designs. Like it is a pretty subtle thing to have on the front of your book, but I think it could open up a whole bunch of possibilities. And I also feel like you could get really creative with like printing onto the cardboard or like printing design covers. Oh yeah, this is going well. I think this is by far the best one I've done so far. I think having it taped down really makes a difference. Surprisingly. Um, but yeah, you could print on the cardboard as well, I imagine, and get a whole bunch of designs that way. But I think this embossing one is kind of nice and subtle enough that it it's not too over the top, but it's like gives a bit of class, to the book. So I'm just gonna make sure, like, yeah, that's really working pretty well so far. Um, yeah, just gonna really make sure that I get all of these edges nice and crisp. Apply a bit more pressure on them. Um, and then I'm gonna try the text, and the text is gonna be the hard bit because obviously these nice big areas are easy to do, but the little bits of text, like the text is literally this big. Oh, yeah, the text is pretty small. So we'll see how we go with it. Um, yeah, we'll see how we go. We used to do something like this with coins as kids. Oh, I think I remember doing it like with a pencil, and you like shade over the top of it to transfer it onto the paper. I think I did something. I'd never embossed it though. That's a cool idea. You could honestly find, instead of like cutting out a design for yourself, you could honestly just find something. I don't know, a lens cap. I don't know. You can find objects probably that would make cool stencils for you without all the effort of printing it out and cutting it out and doing all that. All right, let's try and find the text and give that a go. So I'm going to switch over to the smaller crochet hook and see how we go. I think I can sort of feel through here where the text is, but also not really. I'm not super confident on where these things are. I guess I just got to find one, and then I can sort of figure out where the others are based on that. Yeah, it's not super obvious. Um, hmm. I don't want to do what I did on this one, where I went off the side and it made it all scraggly. So I really want to make sure that I'm finding the right spot for it. But I don't know how well that's going to work. Um, oh, geez. Jeddah, just discovered your channel and it's really great to see someone just experimenting and having fun with projects. Thank you. That that's kind of what I'm going for, is just having a go at things. Because I mean that's how you discover new techniques and fun things. And in that vein, I'm just gonna go for it. I think there's something here. Oh, of course, this is mirrored. All right. I've figured out why I was so confused. So in my mind, because I had this 20K thing here, I was thinking the 2 was here, but this is mirrored. So in fact, what we've got here is the K, if I can pick it up, backwards like that. So when I hit this straight edge, I was like, oh no, I've completely screwed this up. Actually, you probably can't see it. I've got this little straight bit embossed here. If it focuses, there we go, maybe. Yeah, got this little straight bit, and I was like, oh no, I've completely ruined it. But I think we're on the K. This is good. Hello. Your videos are great having the background while I work on my wood carvings. Oh, cool. Man, wood carving is so satisfying. But most of the time I end up getting too invested and it's not working. Oh, that's great. I guess that means I'm doing my job. I'm sorry that I'm impacting your carving. That's not my intention. But yeah, that's really cool. We've got a Discord, by the way. A Discord. It should be linked in the description. I don't really know how live streams work, but in the description there should be. I think you can look at the description. And there should be a link to the Discord. So if you are keen, you can share that in the Discord because I would love to see what wood carvings you do. Wood carving is one of those things that I really want to get more into. Hang on, sorry, I'm just concentrating on making sure I'm in the right spot here, I think. You know what, I can probably use this more as a reference. Oh, so there's a little bit there, okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, wood carving is one of those things that I really want to get more into. I just need to find, as always, find time for all these things. Zill, champion, thank you for confirming that. That's brilliant. I've lost all confidence in my ability to set these things up after the whole private public debacle and streaming to myself for the first 15 minutes was just to myself. But that's good. I'm glad that there's a link. Mr. Splupper? I'm sorry, I'm gonna be butchering everyone's names. Mr. Splupper. Hey, how you going? Yeah, I've run into the same trouble as well, where you're listening to something in the background and it's too good. And I'm not trying to say that I'm too good. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I can relate to the struggle of listening to something in the background and it becomes not background. Radio. I think this K is kind of getting somewhere. The issue is, I think I run the risk of pushing too hard and sort of going through the cardboard. I think in future, what I should have done, I should have made that text just way bigger. So if you're going to do some of this embossing technique, I would suggest you make your stencils bigger. Because yeah, I think I'm getting close to pushing this through. And I feel like if it's too small like this, you can't really get into the corners very well. And I mean, this K obviously has lots of sharp corners, which I'm just not going to be able to do. So yeah, lesson there, make them bigger. Yeah, but that's my learning so far. I'll just give it one going over, and then I'm going to move on to the O, which should hopefully be easier because it doesn't have any corners. So yeah, yeah, that K is good, I think. Now I just need to try and find where the O is. And I'm sorry this part's going a bit slowly. This is a new process to me, so we are figuring it out together. But once we are done with this, we can move on to the actual notebook bit, which is more familiar and should go a bit faster, I imagine. You study product design, and we iterate and make sketch models until it evolves into a final product. Use all sorts of techniques and hands-on approach to bit. Sorry, I'm like mildly, very, very mildly, but a little bit dyslexic, and so I've got the text way too small. I think I need to, I don't know if I can like make it bigger. Hang on, let me see. I can zoom in on it. Oh, I can, but it zooms everything, which is less good. You know what? We can work with it. We can work with it. Use all sorts of techniques, and hands-on approach is the best way of making something. Yeah, I totally agree. It's one of the reasons I'm so resistant to do like 3D printing or anything like that, is because, well, firstly, I already spend enough time in front of a computer, but to me, the idea of designing something purely on a computer, I don't know. I just like getting involved with things, which is an ironic thing for me to say, because if you were here at the start, you would know that I have another YouTube channel where I do coding stuff, which is obviously like making things purely for the computer. And where am I going? Is this right? I think that's right. Yeah, okay. We're on. Oh yeah, the O's coming up nicely. Not having corners is good. Yeah, it's a bit ironic how much I dislike spending time on a computer when half the time I'm coding things on the computer. But I think that's why when I'm making things, I particularly don't want to be on the computer, is because I already spend time on the computer all the time. So it's nice to get out of that environment and use my hands more and yeah, get more hands-on with things. So yeah, I totally agree. Hands-on approach is a nice way to go. I zoomed in on the chat and it zoomed because you can do like a pop-out chat. Yeah, I can actually probably no, no. I might be able to share my screen. Although I haven't really set up for that. I won't do that. But yeah, you can pop the chat out into its own separate little window, and I was hoping to zoom in on just that, but when I zoomed that in, it also zoomed in the browser that it was popped out of, and so now everything's just huge, but that's okay. It's probably better that way, to be honest. All right, yeah, the 0 came up. Oh, I'm not on the camera. The 0 came out really good, I think. Much easier than the K. Now we just got to try and find the 2, which might be interesting. Where the hell is it? Must be there. Yeah, we're on. We're on. It's a bit nerve-wracking trying to find it. I'm not gonna lie, but we're on. Yeah, I think because these are so small, I can't really even feel the divots underneath because the cardboard on top is too stiff. So I sort of just had to trust my gut a little bit there. Oh no. Not being careful enough. Alright, so where does it stop? Oh, it's not a very deep too. Alright, here we go. I think hopefully this is all being worth it. Hopefully it comes out looking clean. If not, that's alright. It'll still be special because we made it together. The friends we made along the way, you know? And actually, on that note, thank you everyone for rocking up. I do really appreciate that there are people here actually watching this. That's very kind of you to spend your time with me. Do I code for my job? I used to, and now I'm sort of between things, and so I'm sort of trying to see if I can make this whole YouTube thing work. If it doesn't, I might have to go back to doing code for my job. But if I can make this work, I'm very keen to do that because it's so much fun, so rewarding, and like hanging out with you guys is great. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. But yes, I did used to code for my job. All right, the masking tape comes off perfectly. Oh, look at that. I don't think... Oh, get the focus. Focus. Yes. Look at that. That is perfect. And that number there is all thanks to you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for that. All right. Oh, get the microphone out the way. Gee, I'm gonna have to get a lot better at this if I want it to be my job, aren't I? But yeah, that came out so well. All right. Now we can just go on with normal bookmaking process. This was kind of the fun, exciting bit. I'm gonna keep this though, because that's kind of special as well. That the template that made this. That is a really fun technique. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit stressful trying to find all the little details to get in, but this technique, I think there's something to that. Like, look at that. That looks kind of profesh in a very unprofessional way. But like, I think with a bit of practice and a bit more experimentation, this could really be something. Zil, you coded for a while, but it wasn't really for you. That's why I switched to teaching kids volleyball. And yeah, man, that's so cool. I can't remember who it was in the Discord, but someone works in a thrift shop, and I think that's like the coolest thing ever. I feel like coding was kind of... I enjoy the problem solving aspect of it, but it's kind of like a pretty individual pursuit. By the way, while I'm rambling on, I'm going to fold the rest of my bits of paper up so that they can go into the book. But yeah, I feel like even if you're working in a team as a software engineer, you're still mostly just doing your own thing, which at times can be good. Like I don't mind doing things alone. And obviously, like right now, I'm doing this alone, but I've got you all watching, which is very nice. um, but yeah, something like teaching kids volleyball, or working at a thrift shop, or that sort of thing. There's a much bigger community aspect to it, and not everyone's social and wants to be hanging out with other people all the time, but I feel like a sense of community is something that really is lacking a lot in today's social structures. Like, it's pretty much just work colleagues and that's it. And outside of that, you don't really interact with people. But I feel like, especially something like a thrift shop, you just get to meet all sorts of interesting people and, do all that. So I've been a bit slack on reading the chat. Um, where was I? I reckon you'd make a great addition to the YouTube makerspace. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to get in there. Um, yeah, Laura Kampf is great. I'm sure I butchered the last name. Sorry, I don't speak German, but oh, that's very kind that you put me up there with her. That is a very high honor. I'm not sure I'm quite deserving of that, but I really appreciate that. You're wondering about my goals. This is Mr. Splupper. Mr. Splupper. Sorry, I'm I really struggle saying that name for some reason. Um, Wondering about my goals for YouTube, because I think a lot of your channel's appeal is the scrappy nature of things. Feels very down to earth. How big would your ideal workshop look like? I think um, my sort of goals. I mean, my ultimate goal would be able to be making a living from this, but that's more of a financial goal rather than like a what does it look like what projects am I making and what does my workshop look like. I think ideally I don't really need much more than I've got um, to be able to make the sorts of things that I want. Did I hold that properly? Yes, I did. Um, yeah, so um, I don't think I really enjoy using hand tools, which is probably quite apparent in my videos. And I think, again, that's sort of the hands on nature of the way that I like to work. But I also just find, well, power tools are kind of scary in my mind. Like, I feel like it'd be very difficult to saw your own finger off with like a hacksaw or a pull saw, or, some sort of hand saw. Whereas on a table saw or a bandsaw or something, it's like one moment of lost concentration, and you've not only lost your concentration, but you've lost your hand. And that just like freaks me out. I don't know how people get up the courage to use those sorts of machines. Um, so I think it's never my ideal workshop is never going to be some like crazy, you know, fully kitted out crazy workshop with all these fancy power tools. I think it's always going to be hand tools. I definitely want some more tools to enable more creative stuff. But I think like the list of things that I want isn't too big. So I probably just want like the only power tool I think I would consider getting is like some sort of, oh, there's probably a few. Like maybe something to do sanding, because sanding by hand is very tedious. Um, and some sort of powered drill probably makes sense. Either a drill press or just a normal handheld drill, or maybe both. Because I can't drill a straight hole to save my life, apparently. Like, I always struggle with that. And I think it's just because when you're using the hand drill, you're having to put power into it, which makes it hard to keep everything straight while you're doing it. I've been ignoring the chat again. Oh, but so yeah, finishing off with the workshop thing, I think I would get like, I would love to get out of the study, because like right now, I'll zoom out of it. I'm just doing this at my desk in the study. Oh, that's you. That's me. Go infinite. Hang on. Be fun when. Wait. Sorry. Getting completely distracted. But yeah, so right now I'm just in my study at my computer desk. Because that's where I can set up to stream. So I'll lock the camera back in and get back on with it. but yeah, so ultimately I'd love to get out of this room and have like a dedicated, maybe like I have got a garage that is a bit dungeon-esque at the moment, and I'm thinking I'll try and like do that up so that I can work out of there, which would be the ultimate. I honestly think like one workbench is all I really need. Um, so yeah, that's what I would be looking at, I think. Zill, if you could go back and do it over again and not get sick, I'd learn to woodwork. Yeah. For some reason, there's a really strong pipeline from like coders to woodworking. And for some reason, I'm just on that journey as well. I don't know why. There's also the rock climbing thing with coders, and I've also done that. So I'm just doing all the cliche getting out of code things. All right, what else? Has it been getting colder for you yet? I'm currently got my cat on my lap because it's a bit cold. So in Australia, where I am, I'm actually currently just sweating in my t-shirt and shorts. That's partly because I've closed everything up to try and block out the noise of crows. Hopefully, they haven't been too bad. There's like a big family of crows that's moved in the neighborhood, and they go berserk. I'm actually just going to turn the fan on because I am a bit warm. So, in answer of your question, it hasn't. It's definitely a bit colder than the peak of summer, but it's still pretty warm. In fact, I should look up the temperature. I can use the computer. All right. My desk is a bit of a mess at the moment, trying to fit all this crafting stuff on it. But oh, apparently it's only 26 degrees. But the thing with oh no, 27. The thing is, it's usually pretty humid here, which always makes it feel hotter than it is. Um, I mean, the humidity is nothing for people that live in like properly humid places like Singapore or something, but it's regularly up in like the 80-ish%. All right, so I'll get back to the chat in just a minute, but first I will just quickly explain what I'm going to do next. So what we need to do is we need to add some holes into the cover and also into the actual book itself. I don't know if you can, it's not focusing. There we go. Yeah, so you need to, in the pages, they need to have 3 little holes, and on the cover, it needs to have 3 little holes. Um, so yeah, I'm going to poke those holes in, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the pointy end of a compass. Is that what this is called? A compass, or is this a protractor? I don't know. I can't remember my like grade 5 shape drawing class lessons. But basically it's just got a little point on the end that I'm going to use to poke some holes. I think I'll poke the holes in the cover separately just to make sure that they line up nicely, because on a few of these ones, that one's not too bad. Maybe like this one. You can see that where is it there? Yeah, the holes don't quite line up with the fold. So I'm going to do the cover separately, but I'll do all the pages at once. Let me see. Oh yeah, so weather-wise, it hasn't gotten much colder yet, but I feel like March often for me is like it goes longer than you think. Like the heat lasts for longer than you think, and March is always when you start getting over it. All right, so I'm just gonna make up where these holes go. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Try and make sure these are all lined up as best as I can. Let's see. You're wanting to sell your table saw? Yeah. And then Mr. Splopper also says, yeah, relate to being scared of big tools. Stalled as long as I could on the circular saw back in high school. Yeah. I mean, maybe they're not as bad as I am making them out to be in my head, but I really enjoy using hand tools. Because they're nice and quiet, you know? I don't have to worry about annoying neighbors or anything like that. And yeah, it makes the making process nice and peaceful. All right, so we got that first hole in. Garage flip video coming soon. Yeah, honestly, maybe. I don't know how to make it not dungeony. I'm wondering about like, because it's like Besser block walls. I'll put a photo on the Discord, but it's pretty grim down there. It's like this concrete dungeon, which probably not the vibe that I'm going for. So Jeddah, in the uni workshop, our first induction included don't wear rings or oh my god, yeah, degloving. Don't no one look up degloving. You don't want to know what that is. Although maybe it's good to know what that is so that you don't make mistakes. Um oh wait, what? So you're also in Australia. I'm thinking you must be a bit further south than me. Dip to around 20 degrees. Yeah, so up here it's still I'm not that far north. I'm in the Brisbane area, so it's not that far north. Um but definitely still hotter than around 20 degrees. If it was 20 degrees, I'd be like fully rugged up right now, I think. Like jumper and everything. Multiple layers. Although I've recently discovered I used to think that I really hated the cold. Um but I think it's just that what I think of as cold weather gear is not actual cold weather gear. um, and so I would think that I was rugged up against the cold, but I'm actually just wearing some like light jeans and a shirt with a jumper over the top. I'm like, why am I still cold? Yeah, turns out if you live in a hot climate, the cold clothes you can buy in it aren't that good for actual cold weather. um, all right. Where was I up to? Dino the Old. Hello. I don't know if I've seen you pop up in chat yet. Once again, my favorite content creator is an Australian. I don't know. I don't know what it is about. I wonder if I don't know why. What are your other favorite content creators, by the way? Just so I'm imagining I did a thing is probably up there. He's he's a bit of a legend on the old YouTube maker space scene. Um, yeah, it went from 37 to 17 overnight. That is bonkers. That's crazy. What the hell? 17 is so cold and 37's bloody hot. Yeah, New South Wales. All right, yeah, so a bit further south. Um, it is a compass. Thank you for the confirmation. That's good to know. The protractor is the one with the angles on it, isn't it? Like the ring thing, and you can measure angles. Is that? I think that's right. Thumbtacks would be good. I don't have any. I don't think. So this is what we got. Um, Bry, being from the Pacific Northwest of the US, I'm quite ready for the warmth. North, Northwest. Oh yeah, so in like is that the Washington State sort of area? That's west, isn't it? Yeah. Ready for some warmth? Yeah. I'm ready for some cold, to be honest with you. Um, bit over summer at this point. Just want to stop sweating. All right. We've got the holes poked in the sheets of paper. There's a name for this, isn't there? You're like not a leaf. There's some name for the bundle of paper that goes into a book, but I can't remember it. I'm sure someone can let me know in the chat. So now yeah, got to transfer these holes onto the cover. So let me just grab the last sheet and I'll use this as a guide. And I cut the cover oversized, so I'm gonna have to try and line up what I want this to be. Oh, and I didn't account for the fact that this is oversized when I was centering the design on the cover. So it's going to be ending up a bit closer to the edge, so quite a bit closer to the edge, which is not ideal, but that is just the way it works sometimes. I think about like that is good. So I'm not doing a very good job of camera angles here, am I? Try and make it so that you guys can see what's going on. There we go. Poke that in there. And in there. And I think my finger's probably exactly in the way. Oh no, it's not too bad. Not too bad. All right. So that should have transferred them. I'm not sure it transferred them particularly well. And I've also forgotten what orientation I took this from. Oh well. Hopefully, hopefully everything works out in the end. I'm just going to make those holes a bit bigger because I'm going to have to get a needle through them. And in all that talk of trying to line these up with the fold, I've managed to this bottom one. don't know if you can see that. Definitely, they're not quite in the fold. They're definitely like, look at that. That's terrible, terrible, terrible. Um, Survived Alfred. Yeah. So actually, funny story. I was going for a holiday down to Tasmania, which for non-Australians is the little island off the bottom, um, on a hiking trip, and our flight out was meant to be exactly, well, it was originally meant to be after the cyclone hit. So our flight got cancelled, but then the cyclone kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. So it ended up being that we could fly out in the end. So I wasn't here for when the cyclone hit. Although by the time it got to where I was, it wasn't a cyclone anymore. It was just like a tropical storm. I know people a bit further south from here got really heavily hit, and I hope that everyone's doing all right from all that. I know there was a lot of power outages as well. That's potentially like still going on. I think there's like some number of thousands of houses still without power, even though the storm was what, a week ago, maybe even more than a week ago. Yeah, hopefully everyone gets sorted out soon. But yeah, managed to, oh, got the microphone in the view again. Managed to not have anything bad happen here, which is good. Although it was hard. We were like packing up for a hiking trip, like an overnight hiking trip, and also trying to get like all prepped in case we were staying here during a cyclone. So we had like rations of, food and water, and filled up every water bottle and bucket in the house and all that sort of stuff. So it was a bit stressful trying to get packed for everything. So the next step in the bookmaking is to use the thread to bind it all together, but I need to go and grab a needle, so I'll be back. I'll be 2 seconds. And time. I think that's probably a bit longer than 2 seconds. So Zill, I just saw you were asking what sort of thread this is. This is embroidery thread, and I just posted in the Discord about the embroidery that I've failed to finish. Um, but yeah, this is just embroidery thread. Hang on, I'll get a better example because this one's like complete. Here we go. So I think this is actually the exact same thread. This is, where does it? DMC brand. If you do any embroidery, you'll see the DMC brand come up a whole bunch. They do like the needles and the thread. I think this needle is a DMC needle as well. Um, yeah, so I use embroidery thread because I've got heaps of it. But you can use anything. Like, I think you could probably just use like generic string or twine or whatever, and that would work just fine. I think the embroidery thread's pretty durable. Sorry, just getting the end of this thread nice and neat, because that helps threading the needle. I can pick it up. There we go. Yeah, but I think you could use just about anything for binding them. And signatures, yes, that's the word I couldn't remember. Well, it's getting kind of dark in here. Let me see. I might try and grab another light and make things a bit. Hey, does that work at all? Not really. Kind of. I don't know. Is that any better? Is that any better? Maybe. Let me catch up. So yeah, what kind of thread? Yep. Four Keys Workshop is a great channel for bookmaking if folks haven't checked him out yet. I will check that out myself. I've definitely seen a few bookbinding channels, and they're all very, very cool. I really want to try doing like a leather book, or like a, oh jeez. There we go. There we go. Sausage fingers. Managed to do it. Okay, thread is on. Yeah, I kind of want to do like a proper book. These are sort of like little baby's first book binding, and that's where I've stopped. But I would like to do some more proper book binding at some point. Um, Guitar strings, that would actually be kind of cool. I wonder if you could make like some sort of metal notebook. I don't know what you'd use as the cover because it needs to be flexible, but not snap with like metal fatigue. But yeah, guitar strings kind of sound sick. Alex, I inspired you to make your own pocket notebook. That's so cool. I love hearing it when people like I've had a few people tell me that, and it honestly makes my day. Like that's very cool. The light gave your hands a nice rim glow. Very very look. Thank you, Zil. The wobbly sheet of metal, like the wobble board things. Hang on. I'll get back. I like that idea. I'm just going to concentrate quickly on getting the string to the right length, and then I'll be with you. By the way that the binding works is you basically just need enough thread to do the distance between the two. Where is it? Yeah, the distance between these two holes twice, but then obviously you need to leave yourself enough to tie the knot as well. So as a general rule, I do like 3 times the length of the notebook, and that gives me plenty. Plus, you want a bit that's pulled through the actual needle as well. So 1, 2, 3 is heaps, and as you can see, it's really not actually all that much thread in the end, but it should be plenty for what we need. Just bind with key rings. Oh, that's a smart idea. That would be kind of cool. I don't know what you'd make the pages out of, like some sort of metal, and then you got to engrave whatever you want to put on the pages on it or something. I don't know. Bit of a silly idea, but I kind of like it. Right. Let me begin. I need to. So, orientation kind of matters here because I didn't measure these holes out. I just sort of eyeballed them. So I need to make sure, firstly, that this last page is in the correct orientation because I used it as the template. And I got to make sure that this is rotated correctly to get in here to line up with these holes. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. I guess I just take the last 2 pages and try not to forget the orientation of this second last page and just make sure that they line up. Which I also don't know how I'm going to do. Maybe with a needle. If that's through there. Yeah, see, look, I think that's probably wrong because there's a bit of a... Oh, you can't see at all what I'm doing. There's a bit of an overlap there, so I suspect that this needs to go the other way around. Yeah, that looks better. And then I think I took it like this. You know what? I'm just going to stick a needle through the whole bunch and hope... Yeah, that looks right. Okay, cool. And so then I got to stick a needle through this whole bunch and see if these line up with the cover, which is going to be hard to do because the holes on the cover are kind of small. How's that? I think that lines up. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, you could etch onto the metal. Yeah, that's probably the way to go. I was thinking engraving because then it's more like writing. You know, you've got some engraving, like a pneumatic engraving tool or something, and you can engrave it as you go. But yeah, etching, I guess etching just means you need to be a bit more prepared. Right, let me try. I think that's the way it goes. Let me try and bind this together. So the way that I bind these is pretty straightforward. So I go from the inside through the middle hole first. If I can, there we go. We're through, needle's through. And then you pull this through if you can. I'm slipping on the needle. I might have to get my teeth out. Be warned that the chompers might be out to get this last little bit through. Maybe. It's so close. Look at that. Like, as if that's not just coming through. Bollocks. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. And we pull that almost the whole way through. Obviously, you want to leave a bit at the end. So I usually just put my thumb on it. And then you just go from that middle hole. You just choose a direction. I usually go to the top first, but it really doesn't change how it looks or anything. And then you go back through to the inside. Oh, and it can be a bit tricky to line everything up. Especially if you, there we go. Especially if your holes aren't done very nicely like mine. And then again, pull that through. I wonder if I can even push it through. No. All right, I'm going to get the chompers out. I don't think you saw that. Maybe that's for the best. So yeah, just pull that through, and then you go all the way down to the bottom hole, or whichever hole you didn't do on the outside. And again, just go all the way through, and this is the hole that's very much out of place on the cover. Bit of a boo-boo on my part. So yeah, you go through the middle to the outside, and then up to one side, and then back on the inside, you go all the way down. Can't get this needle through. Chompers are coming out again. There we go. And then you pull that tight. Well, relatively tight. You don't want to pull this through, obviously. So then you get a nice single line going through the middle of the book. And then on the outside, you go... Oh, I nearly pulled the needle off. I want to do that. Yeah, so then from the outside, you just go back through this middle hole again, which should be easier. And what I tend to do is, as you can see here, this thread is going in on one side of the outside line. Sorry, the line down the middle. And then I pull the thread through on the other side of it. Damn. There we go. All right. So yeah, I pull the line through on the other side so that the two bits of thread that I'm going to be tying together are on each side of this middle line. And so then when I tie the knot, it also holds that middle piece down in place. And as you can see, I've got plenty of thread. Like I've probably got too much thread still left over. But if you saw the original video of making these books, you'll know that I've struggled with doing delicate things with my fingers. Let me just catch up on the chat. Do it where you print on paper, then glue paper onto metal, get rid of the paper, and it leaves the ink. Oh, yeah. I think in fact that's like sort of how people do etching in the first place. I think they use some, like they transfer some pattern onto the metal with, like they print it out and transfer it, and then they can etch away everything that doesn't have the ink on it. But yeah, you could just leave it as the ink itself. All right, so now that I've got these thread in, I can pull it nice and tight. Pretty tight. And then tie a knot. I just do like 2 overhand knots. I'm sure there's a better method of tying this off, but I mean, this works. And I think if you were really worried about it, you could do like maybe a dab of super glue or something, just to be extra sure that it doesn't come undone. But since I started, the only time that my first ever book came apart at the seam, and I think it was because of a few reasons. I think I initially only used like 2 or 3 strands of the embroidery thread. So if you see here, the embroidery thread's made up of 6 individual little strands. And so often while you're doing embroidery, you'll, depending on how thick of a line you want to embroider, you'll like peel off certain number of threads. And so I think when I first did this one, I only had like 2 or 3 strands to try and make it a bit more streamlined. And then I'd also cut the knot too small, like the bits of thread at the end of the knot. So it came undone and I had to redo it. But since then, I haven't had any trouble with this method using all 6 strands of the thread. I don't know if that actually made a difference. I think probably more what made a difference is just not cutting this too close. I think I tried to make it really small and flush. But if you just leave a bit extra, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. All right, so we've got our book, and I mean, you can just leave it here. You can leave it here if you want. I'm going to spend some time to tidy it up a bit because, as you can see, like we've got overhanging bits of cover all over the place. I'm cutting it a bit fine up here. Oh, you can't see that? Yeah, up here I'm cutting it a bit fine, and then like heaps of space down here. I don't know what I was doing lining that all up. Didn't end up uh, too pretty, but that's okay. We can tidy it all up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the cover to be roughly the same size as the paper, and then we can make it all perfectly line up with each other. And you can do this all in a single step, but I often find, or I found when I was doing a whole bunch of these books, it's quite hard to judge where everything is if you've got like heaps of overhang or underhang or whatever. So I find it's easier to just trim the cardboard first, and then you can get a better sense of where everything is. And I did all up at once. All right. And I mean, you could honestly probably leave it at this point. Like once you've tidied up the cover, it'll probably look good enough, you know? But if you want to go that little extra step further, you can. And I think in this instance, I will. All right. So let us. Oh, I didn't cut this all the way to the edge. Like a noob. All right. So there we go. That's pretty good. Now, the reason you'll want to probably tidy things up is because things aren't cut perfectly. And also because there are so many pages in here, the ones in the middle of the book. Oh, you really can't see what I'm doing. Need to get better at lining things up. Yeah, so the ones in the middle of the book get pushed further out than the ones on the outside, and so you end up with this little pyramid here. Where is it? There. Yeah, you end up with this little pyramid of pages at the top. So what I always like to do is just cut that straight. And if you can get away with it, like if you cut really well, this can end up quite nice, and just cutting it will be the final thing. But I often find that a bit of sanding doesn't go astray either. I'm also probably gonna the ends usually aren't as bad as the middle because this has that whole bulging thing that I was just talking about. But I mean, the ends can be a bit uneven as well. So you can see the cover is a bit bigger than the pages, but the pages themselves also. See if I can. Let me zoom right in. Yeah, the pages themselves aren't perfectly lined up, so you can cut them and neaten them up as well, or just sand them. The top, honestly, is pretty good. Like those pages are pretty good, but the bottom, less good. But I'll probably just cut and sand them all. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to have to be careful whilst cutting this not to push my embossing back in. I don't want to lose that. Which could be a bit tricky. I'm just going to have to be careful, I suppose. The other thing is with these little books, I don't know if it's just the cardboard I'm using or if this is always the case. They have a tendency to spring open a bit. Over time, they do flatten out, especially if you actually use it and put it in your pocket. It really will flatten out over time. But when they're new, they're very, very springy and they'll keep springing open. So I'm trying to push down on the bend to try and make sure that wherever I'm cutting is where it will actually end up being. All right, so yeah, let's try and cut this nice and square. And actually, on that note, I might just get a rough idea for measurement. Try and do like see how different they are. They're not too bad. I think if I just try and cut relatively straight on the cover, it should be pretty straight overall. And I just got to make sure this is another thing that you got to make sure is when you're cutting. Might have to zoom back in again. Hang on. Get it into the view. So when you're cutting, you want to make sure, obviously, when you're looking at it just from the top, all you can see is the bits that are overhanging, but there's also this undercut under here. So you just want to make sure that wherever you're cutting is actually going to make everything. I keep obscuring everything. Yeah, you just want to make sure that everything is going to get cut off. So I might be able to just hold this up for a better view. You can see that the back cover is slightly further in than the top cover. So the top cover isn't the best guide of where I should be cutting. I don't want to put this face down though, because I'm worried that I'll just squash all of this. So I will cut on the top cover, but I just need to be really careful to make sure that I'm actually cutting off enough to make it all good. Transferring a cool... Sorry, I haven't read the chat for a little minute. Transferring a cool ink pattern onto a mirror could be cool. That could be very cool. Groucho's last print. That would be sick. That would be very cool. I like that idea a lot. You should do it. Do it and post it in the Discord. Fold the cover back and cut the pages. Oh, just the cover. Maybe that's a good idea. Yeah, because I need it to be folded so that the pages do this thing where they splay out. Because when you open it up, they all line up again. But maybe that's a good idea. I'll just have to try my best to make sure that the cover lines up. But I feel like the cover lining up is less important probably than the pages lining up. I like this idea though. That's a very smart idea, Jeddah. All right, so that should be good. I'm sorry, I don't think you're going to be able to see this very well, but I think me cutting this straight is maybe more important at this stage than your viewing experience. I apologize, but just the way it is. And this will take a little bit of time just because there's so many layers, and you don't want to rush this. You don't want to push too hard because then you often get a bad cut or like pull away from the ruler or something. So you just want to take your time. I do apologize for the camera angle here. Yeah, I'll try like that. Flatten my hand, get you a bit of a view of what's going on. And I'm trying my best to keep the X-Acto blade perpendicular. It's not going to be perfect, but that's where a bit of sanding can come in. But again, this is like, the neater you are now, the less sanding you have to do. And in my opinion, the less sanding you have to do in your life, the better your life is. Sanding is like the necessary evil of the maker world, I feel. I would love to know if there's anyone out there that actually enjoys sanding. Like, I think everyone enjoys the result of sanding, but the actual sanding itself, surely no one can enjoy that. I think we're nearly there. I think I'm obscuring your view again, sorry. But you're going to have to just live with it for the moment, I'm afraid. We got the last little bit. I think we're nearly there. There we go. Cool. I think that came out pretty clean. I'll see if I can look at that. That's a pretty sharp edge. There is a bit of tear out sort of stuff here, but I think overall not too bad. So now I can do the cover. Oh. Okay. For some reason, now when I fold the covers back, I get a line up there where the back cover doesn't line up with the pages. I think, all right, I'm going to just do it all over again, but this time with both covers. I really liked the idea, Jeddah, of folding the cover back, but I think it might have pulled something out of alignment a bit. Maybe? I don't know. Is that even true? Let me check. Yeah, I think you can see as I do this, I think it's probably because this hole is off center. So that is my mistake. I feel like if that hole was perfectly on center, it would have been no worries at all. Ahaha, Nick. Yo, how you going? Glad you could make it. Um, I like the name. Ahaha, Nick. That's fun. Yeah, I feel like if this hole was like perfectly in line, it would have been all good. And I think actually you can see because they get progressively further out of line. I feel like the top is less pulled out of alignment than the bottom. So yeah, that is entirely my mistake. But uh, I will recut it with the cover closed so that hopefully everything lines up nicely. As a good practice run, I'll hang on. I'll see if I can put you guys in a better position to see. Gotta be careful that I don't jiggle the cables too much and doing something spectacularly. The other problem is when I put this here, hang on, I'm more likely to bump the tripod, but that's a sacrifice I am willing to make. Now, also, the autofocus is some random spot. See if I can fix that. I don't really know how to fix that on the fly. We'll see. Okay, okay, okay. It's focusing like way up here, and I need it to focus here, please. I don't know what all the buttons on my camera do, which is a problem. No, that's not it. No. Because I think I've got my camera in like streamer mode, which I think is different from the regular mode, and I don't know how to change the autofocus point. Oh, I think I did it. Maybe. How's that? Is that? I don't know. I don't know what the hell is going on. I've just had a thought though. I could try and line this up again to make sure that I don't squish the embossing while I'm cutting the thing. The question is, how well can I line it up? And I think that's something that we all would like to know the answer to. So I'm going to do my best to. Oh, it's not right on the edge though, is it? I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'll try and get the tape out of the way a bit so that it doesn't grab. And then I did talk about earlier how it was very hard to line things back up because it doesn't really like sandwich in there very nicely. Is now the time for sanding? Honestly, you might be right. I was just gonna clean this. Like, I don't want to have to sand that much material off. So if I can, I'm gonna recut this, and hope that I can get it a bit neater before I sand. Because sanding, I want to do the bare minimum. You know. I will also probably clean up the ends with the knife as well. But I think I just got to do it with the cover closed, and I'm just going to push really gently so that I hopefully don't squish the embossing too much. And I got to remember that this bit is pulled out of square as well to make things trickier. Maybe something like that would do the trick. Maybe. Honestly, very hard to tell. I think it might be less extreme than that, to be honest. Maybe something like that. Look, we're just going to go for it, and then we can fix it up in the sanding. Oh, I started cutting the ruler instead of the paper. All right. Try and stay nice and steady. Hopefully, oh no. I was going to say hopefully that's a better view, but I don't know if you can just see more knuckle now. This is honestly like the hardest part of making videos for YouTube is getting the camera in the right spot so that it can see what you're doing while also yourself being able to see what's going on. Because like the best spot for the viewer is also the best spot for me to be looking at it, but obviously I can't be in the same place as the camera. So often I've got the second best view, but right now I think I got the best view. So sorry about that. Oh, Jetta, no. Do you have to go and do a bunch of sanding as well? I hope it goes well. Godspeed. All the best. I'm about to do a bunch as well, so at least we're in it together. On Bri's got to go as well. Get those groceries. I understand. It's all good. You got to eat. You got to eat something. Thank you so much for hanging out, and thank you for the congratulations as well. Again, it's all because of people like yourself and everyone here that we're at 20,000, which is a bizarre, like 20,000 people. Like when I think about that, there's a local sports team that I watch, and actually, no, they get a decent crowd, but there's teams in that competition that like their regular home game crowd is like 12,000 people. And so it's just crazy to me that many, like when I think about the stadium with that many people in it, it's crazy that there's more that are subscribed to my channel. Like that blows my mind. Hopefully your hands don't start cramping. Yeah, it's actually my tricep in my left hand that's I need to give it a break because like putting that much pressure down on the ruler. I probably don't actually need to put that much pressure down on the ruler. But like yeah, this hand pushing down into the ruler is I think my fingers are fine. I think that's maybe a rock climbing blessing. But yeah, my triceps, dude. God damn. All right, we are nearly there. I hope I didn't just tear it by trying to flick it away like that. There we go. All right. Hopefully that's a bit neater. Ah, look at that. Perfect. If it would focus. There we go. I think it's probably, I don't think the the design not quite centered as you can see in either dimension. But that's okay. Yeah, I'd forgotten that I'd cut the cover oversized when I did the embossing, but that's all right. Lessons for next time. People chat up Barney asking why he's so swollen. He starts talking about bookbinding. Honestly, my tricep right now is on fire. Clearly, I need to do some more like dips or something to get it huge. But I feel like it's more the endurance than the actual putting pressure on because it's not that difficult to hold it there. It's just difficult over a long time. And to get faster at cutting. All right, so that turned out pretty well. That turned out excellent, actually. Um, could you have embossed at the end? Yeah, so this is what I was thinking is I because the embossing thing is quite new to me. I wasn't sure how well it was going to work out. So I wasn't sure if I was going to have to do multiple attempts at it. And I was thinking if I've made the entire book and then screw up the embossing right at the end, I would kick myself. So I decided to emboss first, um, and then make the book once I had the embossing. I think if I hadn't forgotten that I'd cut it oversized, I would have been able to line it up a lot better. But I think now that I know how the embossing process works, it's not too difficult. So I think I probably could have just done it at the end, and I think that would work out better. But yeah, I think for what it is, a first attempt at embossing on a book, I think it's gone pretty well. I am going to just quickly tidy up the top and bottom, and then I'll give it a quick sand. And this is the benefit of trying to cut nice and neat is there's just only a few little spots that need touching up with the sanding, but it's not going to be too bad. I will also sand the corners round, which is actually pretty quick and easy to do. Although I am now not excited for having to hold the ruler down again. Oh well, should be alright. Just got to get on with it. Less complaining, more doing, I think. And I just got to make sure. Actually, alright. Oh, a book press would actually be a great project for me. Might have to write that down. Thank you, Zil. That is a very, very good idea. All right, let's give this a go before my tricep gives out altogether. Yeah, a book press would be a very good idea. And then hopefully I would also... Oh no. I'm cutting only a very thin slice. I think this might be a bit of a bigger sanding job on this side. I'm cutting a very thin slice, and so I think some of them haven't actually cut, and they're sort of just tearing. I don't know if you can't maybe see this, but down here, it will focus here. No, how do I don't know how to get it to focus here. But yeah, there's all these little fluffy bits coming off, so that's not good. Not good. That means more sanding, and more sanding is bad. Oh dear. All right. On the next side, I'm gonna take a bigger chunk off so that it is hopefully not as disastrous as this. Oh dearie, dearie me. Oh, and my tricep is about to explode. Just gonna try and neaten up these little fluffy bits. Ugh. Okay, certainly not the best. That bit detached, maybe. There we go. All right. Yeah, look, you can see this end here, a bit more ragged and not quite cut square. So I think I took too thin, as you can see from these offcuts, I took way too thin of a slice, and so it was tapering off at the end, and that meant the knife was dishing out on me. So on the other end, I'm going to take a bigger chunk off. Still throwing out tons of ideas for you to steal. I will steal some of them, that is for sure. Yeah, finding video ideas can be really hard. I think part of my problem, well, I don't think it's a problem. I think this is probably a good thing, but I don't like the idea of doing a video that I'm not excited for in the moment, because I think that probably really comes across on camera. You know, if I'm not excited for a video, then it's going to be probably a less interesting video because I'm not excited for it. But then I also think that you, the audience, like you guys are smart. You're going to pick up on the fact that I'm not that into it, and then also probably not be that into it. So yeah, part of the problem is coming up with ideas, but I think the other part of the problem is, you know, being excited for the idea that you've come up with. Because like I do have a list of ideas of things that I want to do, and I think they are good ideas. It's just in the moment, if I'm not that excited for that project, then it's, you know, it's not going to turn out too well, I don't think. But I will also take any ideas that you've got. So if anyone has ideas, please feel free always to just like comment them, or, you know, put them in the chat or whatever, or on the Discord or whatever, because I think you guys have some really great ideas. All right, this is going a lot better because I took a bigger chunk off this side. Much better. Hopefully saved myself a bit of sanding here. Hopefully it doesn't look too wonky with the two different ends being cut differently. Oh dear. Okay, tricep is... Oh, I just shifted the ruler. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. But my tricep is... Oh, thank God. And shake out now. Oh. Yeah, it's burning. All right, but I think... I mean, it's completely off-centered, but we've got something that is turning out pretty well. Just a bit of sanding to go, and then our little commemorative 20K book is done. I'll just quickly... No, I won't bother tidying up because I'm about to sand. I'll just quickly go and grab some sandpaper, though. I'll be back. All right. Something to improve upon for the 50K book. Look, honestly, getting to 50K, I think would be a miracle. We'll see how we go. Hopefully one day, but I'm not holding my breath. That would be suicidal. Yeah, I think it's turned out pretty well. I think definitely room for improvement. Also, this is like the rattiest bit of sandpaper in existence. I'm just going to tear a bit off. I think this was the piece that I was using for the bookcase build. And it shows. I had to do so much sanding for that. That was not much fun at all. All right, so in the past, I've clamped books together. Like when I was doing the video on this one, I clamped it in some wood to do the sanding. And in fact, the sanding job on this one was not very good. But yeah, I clamped it together in some wood to do the sanding. But I honestly, when I was doing my most recent batch, I was just holding them by hand and that worked out super well. So that's what I'm going to do again. I'm just going to hold them. And I found that because I can't really, I've only got one thumb, right? So I can't clamp the whole length at once. So what I end up doing is just holding the bit that I can and sanding that bit and just working my way down. So I think it's going to be hard to chat while sanding because it's going to be a bit noisy, but I'll do my best. The other thing I got to try and do is make sure that when I do hold it, that I'm holding it how it would be folded and not like skewing it or anything. So I just got to try and make sure that I hold it square like that. And then we sand. And in fact, there's no point getting too worried about right at the edges because I'm going to round them over in a bit. But yeah, I'll concentrate more on these middle bits. And in case you're wondering, this is 120 grit sandpaper. You could probably use finer if you really wanted, but I don't know. I feel like this probably does the job. Because I feel like the knife should be doing most of the work of straightening everything. This is just to remove any little cuts and bumps. I mean, like I was saying earlier, you can use the sandpaper to hide a whole bunch of crimes. But the less you have to do, the better. Do a bigger and bigger book for each milestone. Honestly, probably not a bad idea. I could do like a huge book eventually. Work my way up because I think this is. I always forget. So I started with A4. You cut that in half, you get A6, and in half again. No, hang on, A5. Sorry, and then you cut that in half again, you get A6, and then I fold that in half. So this is an A7. So I can just work up the A's or down the A's. Sorry, until I've run out of A's. End up with an A0. Is the A system 0 indexed or is it 1 indexed? I don't know. Oh. Alright. Still a bit of a ridge. Oh, try and make the smallest book. That would kind of be fun. Yeah, I could go both ways. Make a huge book and the little book. Although I feel like that's quite like that's very YouTubery sort of content. I made the smallest book ever. Or the biggest book. It's like I'm not sure I really want to get I've found it really hard to make like titles and thumbnails. Partly because I don't think my brain really works in that marketing sort of mindset. But I really don't like the whole Oh, I'm squishing the embossing a bit. I don't like the whole it's not clickbait, but it's like big upping what you're doing. And I don't enjoy that at all. And so I feel like I've been treading a bit of a line between getting titles and thumbnails that are actually intriguing enough to click on whilst also not being super cringe. All right, so I think that edge is mostly good. There is a bit of a line where the two halves meet, but I don't know if I really want to try and sand that out. Maybe I should give it a bit more. It's also just hard not to kink the pages at all while you're doing this. I think that's good enough. Don't want perfection to get in the way of finishing. A backpack book instead of a pocket book. I like that. You need like a truck book or something. Like just a huge book. All right, I think this is the one that's going to take the most sanding because this is where this corner here that will focus. This corner here is where the knife was like getting kicked out because I took too shallow of a cut. So this might take a bit more sanding than the other side, but it's this bit here is all clean. Thanks, Mr. Spluffler. I think I'm getting slightly better at saying that name. Mr. Spluffler. Yeah, thank you. I think it's looking pretty good too. Perfectionism is the ultimate killer. Yeah. I think if you've watched my videos, you know that perfection is not something that I've strived for. I can tell you that with 100% confidence. I made a book the size of my house. Oh, a book bed, a bed book. That's cool as well. So when you sand, you often end up with these little scraggly bits that look super bad. But if you just sand in the other direction for a little bit, like from the other side, it'll just take that off, and then you end up with a pretty clean looking finish. And now don't worry about that. There's just a bit of paper dust on the front. So I think that edge is looking pretty good now. I might do this corner while we're here, and what I do to do that is I just pinch the corner, and then I find it best if you try and go like into the pages like that, it'll sort of splay them and not be too good. So I come from each direction and like round over the corner rather than up the corner, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but like on this, when I'm closer to this angle, you want to be moving away from it, you know? Again, I don't really know if that made sense, but I'm wiping down, sort of. And then if I'm coming from this side, I'll go up. And very quickly, you should see that the corner will be starting to round. I'm glad it makes sense to you. I wasn't sure if it was like the words that I was saying. I don't know how much sense they made. I mean, it's starting to round. I think the oh, I'm rounding the back a lot more than the front. I need to watch that. So you can see that back corner is pretty round, but then on the front, it's much more square. So I've got to be a bit careful in how I'm doing this. All right. Try and make it as even as possible. I think this bit of sandpaper is also pretty knackered, so that could be a contributing factor. Take off those wispy bits. There we go. Pretty good. That's a nice round corner, and it really doesn't take too long, and it looks so much better than these square corners in my personal opinion. It also means that it doesn't catch the corners on your pocket if you do actually put it in your pocket, because this is the first one I made, and you can see that the corners get pretty banged up. I mean, they're not too bad, but they do get, oh, not focused. Yeah, they get a bit scuffed up, and so if you just round them over, it just means that it won't catch on your pocket as much as you take it in and out. So I think all I've got left to do is sand this edge and this corner, and then we're there. Although I think I need to, there's a few wispy bits on this long section because I didn't really tidy that up too much. All right, we're nearly there, which is good because it's getting on for lunchtime and I am getting hungry. All right, we're nearly there, nearly there. Yeah, the other place it gets a bit wispy is right in this corner here, which is always a bit delicate because if you take too much off, well, you just don't want to take too much off here. But if you just give it a little kiss with the sandpaper, and hopefully it will get rid of it. I also got a bit back here. Oh, try adding a bit of ribbon for bookmark. Yeah, that could be good. I guess you would have to I'd probably put it in while binding and probably bind it in with the bits of string and then have it come out the top maybe. But I really like that idea. I wonder if you could even like if you did the binding the other way around and had the knot on the outside, you could just leave it long and then pull it over the top. Or you could do them in a different order so the knot was at the top and then put it over the top or something. I don't know. There's probably some way of doing that. Why is this so scuffed? There we go. A bit better. Next stream, writing every subscriber name in the book. Man, I don't know if there's enough space for 20,000 names. I still can't believe that number. Like, that is a huge number. I don't think I can fit 20,000 people in this book, unfortunately. Maybe I can put all the members in the book and hopefully one day fill it up. All right, let's round this last corner. Hopefully, I don't know how well I'm doing at keeping everything in focus. Well, actually, the camera should be keeping things in focus for me. I'm not sure how well I'm doing of keeping things in frame. Is the thing. All right, we're nearly done with the sanding. I know it's the most boring bit of any project, and it really is. But the result of sanding is always worth it, I find, as much as I dislike the actual process. Oh, it's focusing on the bench, not the paper. How much round? I got to try and make sure that they're rounded to the same amount. That kind of looks pretty even to me. Just need to take the wispy bits off. Alrighty. I think we're just about there. Look at that. Oh, sorry, that was a loud clap. I didn't mean that to be so loud. I was just trying to get some dust off my hands. Oh no. Absolute tragedy. Uh, you're not gonna believe this, but I forgot to finish my tea. And now it's cold and disgusting. It's so rare for me to forget about a cup of tea, but I think streaming obviously takes up too much of my too much of my brain power. Forgetting about a cup of tea is one of the worst crimes you can commit. Let's have a look. Uh, you just know there's one of your subscribers with a long name. Slob Slob Slobodan Medadadonovich. That would be that's too much for my mild dyslexia to handle. Use different shells for different tiers of members. Oh, these are some great ideas. You guys should be content creators. You got some absolutely banger ideas. Satisfying when you feel everything has got smooth after sanding. Yeah, like I can do that on these. They feel. I mean, this was a pretty rough sanding job. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just got a bit sick of it, but even just that feels pretty nice. Well, there we go. I think we might call it there because we have now completed our little commemorative 20,000 book. And if you're subscribed while watching this, thank you so much. If you're not, you can always, you know what to do, hey? But yeah, for the first 20, well, for all of you, which is the first 20,000, like, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. As I was saying earlier, I would love to be able to make this my job, and that's what I'm aiming to do. And so you guys just being here and watching the videos, it means so much. And 20,000 is like a big proof of concept to me that this is potentially viable. So thank you so, so much. Even if it's not viable, by the way, and I don't end up making this my job, I'm still going to be making these videos because I just enjoy it so much. But if I could do this as my job, that would be the dream. So thank you so much for being here and supporting me by subscribing and commenting and watching the videos and all of that. I really, really appreciate it. And here's to many more subscribers and many more streams to come. If you've got any ideas or anything, as always, let me know in the comments, or you can join the Discord, which there should be a link in the thing down below, the description, so you can join that. And yeah, the Discord's a lot of fun. We got people sharing all sorts of projects. There's like some woodworking stuff. Someone recently just showed some embroidery patches that they've made that look sweet. Like there's all sorts of stuff. So if you want to see what other people in the community are making, definitely join the Discord. Or if you want to show off what you're making, which I would love to see, again, join up on the Discord and share it there because it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Oh, people have shared stuff during the stream. Oh, I should have. Next stream. Okay, what we're going to do next stream, which I don't know when that will be. We'll find out. But next stream, or maybe like in videos, I could do like a little showcase, like a community showcase of what you guys have been working on. I think that would be kind of fun. So yeah, maybe we do that. I'll write that down somewhere. I'll rewatch the stream and remember to write that down. But yeah, I might do that. So maybe I need a separate thing on the Discord just to make it clear that like if you post here, that means that you want it to be included in the Discord. Sorry, not on the Discord, in the video, like in the community showcase. Or yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, if you want to, join the Discord and see all the amazing stuff that's going on there. Like you guys are so talented, and it's very inspiring to me to see what you guys are up to. And I hope that what I do can also help inspire you, and we get this cool little cycle of stuff. You just I know the old coming in with the facts. You just made a notebook, so write it down. All right. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write down the date that I made it, which is the 18th. 03/25. Barely gave myself enough room for that. And what did I just say I was going to write down? I'll write down community showcase. Make a community. Isn't this riveting? Showcase. And then we can put at the, oh my gosh, can't spell, the end. First mistake in the notebook right there. That's good. The end of each video. Smiley face. There we go. Well, thank you so much, guys, for being part of this. Yeah, I can't say thank you enough. It means so much. And hopefully we'll chat soon. I'll probably see you. Some of you guys sound like you're signing up for the Discord, which is awesome. So I'll see you there. If not, I'll see you on the next video. And yeah, I think that's about it for now. I got to now try and figure out how to turn the stream off. After all that struggle turning it on, got to try and turn it off again. So, all right. Hope you all have an excellent rest of your day, week, rest of your life. Hope the rest of your life is awesome, and I'll see you all soon. So yeah, thank you once again. See ya. This is like that awkward bit at the end of a phone call when you're trying to hang up, but you don't know how to end it. And that's what's happening right now. But we're going to end it. All right. Bye.